Hello, and welcome to another episode of Tales of Statendor, with me, James David. So, in this episode, I wanted to talk more about not so much my writing, but the promoting of my writing. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm a huge introvert, so having to promote anything or talk about myself to strangers or anyone in general kind of feels like the equivalent of rubbing sandpaper against my bare skin. So sit back and relax as I tell you a tale or two. So, back when I had just finished issue number 1, I was really happy. I was over the moon. I had just finished the first comic. I was like, yeah, this is great. Oh, I can't wait to upload it onto my Patreon, which, by the way, listeners, I hope you are subscribed to it. I just, back to the story, I just remember I had physical copies made and I was holding them in my hands like, oh yeah, this is great. I finally got issue number 1 done. And then it hit me, oh, I could promote this myself and sell it. I set up an Etsy shop, and the hardest part wasn't making the shop, but realizing that I had to promote it myself, and doing so was probably the hardest thing to do for me. So for anyone who doesn't know, I'm socially awkward due to my autism, and having to talk about anything about myself to other people it just goes against the grain so badly, and I tense up and I'm like really shy, and it's just like, oh, it's about me. So trying to go online and make targeted adverts was one of the hardest things I had to do, where I was like, oh, it's a comic and it's got magic and there's wizards and stuff. The early days of trying to plan and direct promotions of my comics were probably some of the hardest for me, because I knew what I wanted to do and how I pictured it in my mind, but having to try and make all these little adverts and hashtags and remembering to post regularly was probably the hardest thing to do for me, because around about that time I started when I was in the opera house, so I was busy, and I did like 3 to 4 shifts a week, and when I wasn't working I was trying to think of witty marketing campaign ideas, as well as trying to write more of the next comic. But having to find ways to promote it was the hardest thing to do. So I'd use hashtags, and I'd send links to my Patreon and to my Etsy shop to start. But then I thought, okay, digital comics are probably the best way to go. So I went to Webtoon, which my series is still on Webtoon, by the way, if anyone's interested. So posting on there became the next big thing. I was like, yeah, I'm posting on Webtoon. What do you guys think? And realizing that there are hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of other people trying to do the exact same thing you're doing, in which you have to promote your project and your work to other people, made me think, oh, I really do need to find a way to stand out, because using hashtags and social media, it's good, but you also need to find your angle, that way in which you can really stand out from other people. And to me, not being a promoter, it's hard. I would admit I'm just a creative, so having to really write about myself and not be creative, well, not to be creative, but to find a way in which is catchy and get into the psychology of advertising, as someone recently once advised me. It's not bad, it's just I'm not really like I'm not like a center stage sort of person. When I was younger, I used to love acting on the stage and being in school plays, but as I got older and suffered a lot of social anxiety about change in my life and what I was meant to be doing, I realised that I was no longer really comfortable being on stage, and I'd rather be behind the scenes helping out in that regard. Even though it kind of crushed my original dreams of being an actor, I was like, okay, well, if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. But play to your strength. So I accepted it, and I was like, okay, I'm going to make some more of the products to promote, because I thought if I've got a series, I need to have a series sort of ready to go. And once I produce more of my series, I can promote that. I finished the first 3 comics and I'm currently working on issue number 4. Slow process, I know, but luckily with the webtoons and such, it'll be easier. And slow and steady is always the best way to do it. I'd rather do it like that than how I used to do my short films. So if anyone who doesn't know, I used to do short films on YouTube, and that was fun. I liked doing it, but I was always I set my mind to making it the night before it was meant to go out. So I was always like this mad panic and rush to produce something which didn't always look as great as I thought it would be, and trying to do all the voices was just such a, I wouldn't say hassle, but was just not great. It could have been better. And I'm still open to doing short films with my little tabletop miniatures, but I don't know what the interest is, or if people would be interested. If you are interested, comment down below and tell me what you think. So I wanted to find different ways of promoting. I thought about targeted adverts, which seem to be very popular among other indie authors. I thought about doing more hashtags across different platforms, cross promotion, such like that. I do want to appear in other podcasts, and I wanted to work through Book Talk or Comic Book Talk, give or take. So I'm still open to all of that. But then I thought one of the best ways to do it would be to return to doing podcasting like this. Because before I was talking about my writing and my audiobooks, I tried to do another podcast called the Podmaster General. It wasn't bad, but it was just me randomly talking about things, which was just kind of all over the place, and it didn't really have an identity other than just me rambling. So it's not a bad idea, but I wanted to do something more direct and personal rather than just talking about any random topic which takes my interests that day. So yeah, I slowly transitioned to short stories, to audio stories, talking about myself, talking about past experiences, and now talking about Tales of Statendor. By the way, if you guys do miss the audio short stories I used to do, or the little tabletop miniature films I used to do, comment down below and let me know what you think, what you want to see more, because I'm very curious to see what my listeners are interested in the most. I'm considering doing a reading of a story I did about a character on my Patreon. I did a short story about him sort of leaving home and setting off to be an adventurer. It's not like a big story, but it's like a bittersweet one, if that makes sense. So let me know if you guys are interested in that. I'm thinking of talking about other characters who are yet to appear in Tales of Statendor comics. I am thinking of doing the next one of Fablin Orangeleaf, who was the main protagonist of the Orangeleaf novella, which is available on Amazon for people who are interested. And if you are interested, let me know in the comments below. Until then, I hope you all enjoyed Tales of Statendor.